August 15th, 1977. A stream of paper spits out of a mainframe computer at the Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope. It is covered in numbers and letters, mostly ones and twos, the quiet background noise of the cosmos. And then, for 72 seconds, the printout shows 6 EQUJ5, a tidal wave of energy, a signal so strong, so clear, so perfectly tuned, that it defies all natural explanation. A young astronomer, Dr. Jerry Eman, reviewing the data days later, sees the anomaly. His heart pounds. He grabs a red pen, circles the code, and in the margin, he writes one single word: wow. For 47 years, that is what we have called it, the wow signal. It was our reaction, our gasp, our moment of astonishment. But we have been asking the wrong question. The question is not, what did we feel? The question is, what did they mean? What if the signal was not a random wow, a cosmic fluke, a 1 in a trillion glitch? What if it was a statement? What if it was not wow, but we are here? This is the story of the greatest cosmic mystery of all time, and the new chilling evidence that suggests it was not a one-time event. To understand the mystery, you must first understand the Big Ear. It was not a sleek, modern dish. It was a beast, a massive, flat, metal grid the size of 3 football fields, fixed to the ground. It used the rotation of the Earth to scan the heavens. As the Earth turned, the telescope's gaze drifted across the constellation Sagittarius, and for exactly 72 seconds this thing passed through its view. The signal was not just strong, it was intelligent. Or, at least, it looked exactly like what we thought an intelligent signal would look like. First, it was narrowband. Natural cosmic objects, stars, quasars, they shout. They broadcast noise across the entire radio dial, like static. This signal was a whisper, a pure, clean tone at one single frequency. Just like a human radio station, nature does not do this. Second, the frequency itself. The signal was found at 1420 MHz. This is not a random number. It is the hydrogen line. It is the frequency that all the neutral hydrogen in the universe, the most common element, sings at. Decades earlier, physicists had nicknamed this frequency the cosmic watering hole, the one quiet spot on the radio dial that all intelligent species, if they were built from the same atoms as us, would eventually discover. It is the universal hailing frequency. The signal was on the right channel. It was a pure, narrowband tone, on the one frequency in the universe that says, I am intelligent, and I am looking for other intelligent beings. It was perfect to perfect. Dr. Jerry Eman and the director of the observatory immediately tried to find it again. They pointed the Big Ear back to that exact spot. They waited, and they heard nothing. They tried again. Nothing. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, was electrified. They focused their telescopes, more powerful, more sensitive, on that one patch of sky. For years, then for decades, nothing. The silence was deafening. The signal became a ghost, a legend, the one great maybe in a universe that seemed profoundly empty. The great silence, as the physicists call it, had returned. What was it? Was it a glitch in the 1970s era computer? No, the data was checked and rechecked. The signal was real. Was it an Earth-based signal bouncing off a piece of space debris? Possibly, but the signal was at a protected frequency, where transmissions are forbidden, and it perfectly matched the Earth's rotation, rising and fading for exactly 72 seconds. It came from deep space, and then it was gone. Before we dive into the theory that for decades solved this mystery, I have a question for you. What is your gut feeling? 47 years later, what do you think the wow signal was? Was it the real deal? Our one missed phone call? Or was it just a bizarre cosmic coincidence that we will never understand? Drop your theory in the comments below. And if you believe we are not alone, if you want to know the truth, hit that subscribe button, because the silence is about to be broken. The story of the WOW. Signal was a story of frustration. For almost 40 years, we had this perfect, tantalizing piece of data that no one could explain and no one could replicate. It was the ultimate scientific cliffhanger. The mystery became a cultural icon, a punchline, the poster child for SETI's failures. And then, in 2017, a new theory emerged. An astronomer named Antonio Paris proposed a simple, elegant, and frankly disappointing solution. A comet, or, more specifically, two comets. Comets are not just rocks, they are dirty snowballs, and as they get close to the sun, they release a massive cloud of gas. A cloud made primarily of hydrogen, a vast neutral hydrogen cloud. And what does a cloud of neutral hydrogen do? It sings at 1420 megahertz. The cosmic watering hole. Antonio Paris ran the orbital data. He found that in 1977, on August 15th, a comet named 266 Christensen was in that exact region of the sky. It was not known at the time, but its orbit put it right in the crosshairs of the Big Ear telescope. The case, suddenly, seemed closed. It was not an alien "we are here", it was a comet singing its hydrogen song as it passed by. The signal was strong because the telescope just happened to focus on the dense core of the comet's hydrogen cloud. It was narrowband because, well, maybe the comet's cloud was different. It was never heard again because the comet moved on. It was a cosmic coincidence, a case of mistaken identity. The media ran with it. Wow, signal mystery solved. Not aliens, just a comet. It was the perfect, boring, natural explanation. The mystery was dead. By the way, the discussions we have here are part of what makes this channel special. Last week in our 3i Atlas video, a user named Cosmic Voyager pointed out that if 3i Atlas was a probe, its signal would look a lot like the WOW signal. That is an incredible thought. What do you think? Is there a connection? Let me know in the comments below. The best theories, the ones that connect the dots, always get pinned. Now, back to our dead mystery. The comet theory was neat. It was tidy. It allowed the entire astronomical community to file the WOW. Signal away in a drawer marked "Solved." The greatest mystery in SETI history was reduced to a piece of dirty space ice. Case closed. Right. The world moved on, but a few scientists did not. A few like Jerry Evan himself. They looked at the data and they frowned because the comet theory had a problem, a very big problem, a fatal flaw that the popular science media had completely ignored. A flaw that did not just reopen the case, it blew it wide open. A flaw that proved whatever the Big Ear heard in 1977. It was not the comet, which means the signal is still out there. And it is still unexplained. That fatal flaw, that one simple, unavoidable fact that dismantles the entire comet hypothesis, it has to do with the sun. The comet theory relies on the sun's radiation to excite the hydrogen cloud, to make it sing. But in 1977, on August 15th, the comet 266 Christensen was more than 240 million kilometers away from the sun. It was too far. It was too cold. The amount of solar energy at that distance is tiny. It is not nearly enough to break apart the water molecules and create a hydrogen cloud dense enough to be seen from Earth, let alone create a signal 30 times stronger than the background noise of the universe. For a comet at that distance to produce the WOW signal, it would have to be physics-defying. It is like trying to get a sunburn at midnight. The energy simply is not there. And Dr. Jerry Amon, the man who wrote WOW, pointed this out himself until the day he died. He said, "A comet cannot do that." But that is not even the biggest problem. There is a second, even more devastating flaw. The Big Ear telescope was not one telescope, it was two. It was a brilliant, redundant design. It had two separate feed horns. two receivers sitting side by side. As the Earth turned, a point in the sky would pass through the first beam. Then, 3 minutes later, it would pass through the second beam. Any signal from deep space had to be seen twice. First in beam 1, then silence for 3 minutes. Then in beam 2, the wow. Signal was only seen in one. It appeared in one beam, blazed for 72 seconds, and then, when the telescope's second beam panned over the exact same spot, 3 minutes later, there was nothing. The signal had vanished in under 3 minutes. A comet's hydrogen cloud is millions of kilometers wide. It is a vast, diffuse fog. It cannot appear and then disappear in 3 minutes. It is physically impossible. This is the checkmate. This is the evidence that proves, beyond all reasonable doubt, whatever the Big Ear telescope heard in 1977, it was not a comet. It was not a glitch. It was not a comet. It was not from Earth. The box is empty. All the easy natural explanations have failed. The mystery is back, and it is deeper and darker than ever before. We are back to square one. We are back to a perfect narrowband signal at the perfect hailing frequency from deep space that turned on, and then turned off in less than 3 minutes, and was never heard again. If this just blew your mind, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that you are not satisfied with the easy answers. It shows that you, like us, are willing to keep digging until we find the real truth. And trust me, the real truth is getting stranger. Because if it is not a comet, what is it? Let's look at the only remaining hypothesis. The one that we are afraid to say out loud. That it was artificial. In this model, all the impossible data suddenly makes perfect sense. Why was it a narrowband signal? Because it was a message. A beacon, a laser-focused, I am here, not a fuzzy natural cloud. Why was it at the hydrogen line? Because the sender knew that is where we would be listening. It is the universal hello. And why? Why did it only appear in one beam and not the second one 3 minutes later? Because it was not continuous. It was not a lighthouse sweeping the sky. It was a flash, a single burst of energy, timed so perfectly that it hit our first receiver, but was gone by the time the second receiver panned across. It was not that the signal stopped, it was that the sender stopped. Or perhaps the sender was moving so fast that it crossed our telescope's path and was gone. A ship, maybe. A probe passing through, like Oumuamua, like 3I Atlas. A probe that sent one single ping as it flew by. This is the hypothesis that has haunted the search for extraterrestrial intelligence for 47 years. And for 47 years we had no way to test it. We had no next step. All we could do was wait. And listen. And listen. Until now, the investigation did not end in 1977. It is just beginning. Today, we have telescopes that make the Big Ear look like a toy. We have Breakthrough Listen, a $100 million, 10-year initiative to hunt for exactly these signals. They are using the Green Bank telescope in West Virginia, a Titan 100 meters wide, so sensitive it could detect a cell phone on the moon. They are using the Meerkat array in South Africa, 64 dishes working as one giant eye. And where are these billion-dollar instruments looking? They are staring directly at the wow. They have returned to that one patch of sky in the constellation Sagittarius. The solved mystery is reopened. And this time, we are not passively waiting. We are actively hunting. The original search in 1977 was like sitting by a quiet lake, hoping a fish jumps. The new search is sonar. It is dynamic, it is persistent, and it is listening not for one single ping, but for a pattern. They are looking for repetition, because a signal that repeats is not an anomaly. It is a message. It is contact. So the billion-dollar question, after all this time, after pointing the most powerful radio eyes on Earth back at the scene of the crime, are we hearing anything? Is there anything coming from that spot? The answer is yes. The silence has been broken. The scientists at Breakthrough Listen and other independent groups have found something. Something new, something in the same neighbourhood as the WOW signal. It is not exactly the same, but it is just as baffling, and it is repeating. That one patch of sky, the constellation Sagittarius, the home of the WOW signal. For decades, we thought it was a statistical ghost, a one-of-a-kind anomaly. But the new data from telescopes like Green Bank and Meerkat shows something that is almost more frightening. It is not alone. While astronomers have not yet found an identical repeating WOW signal, they have found that this entire region of space is a hotspot. It is noisy in a very strange way. In 2019, and again in 2020, researchers poring over the data found new candidate signals. Not as strong as WOW, not as long, but just as strange. Dozens of unexplained narrowband transmissions, all coming from the same general direction, and they found fast radio bursts. These are the other great cosmic mystery. Bursts of radio energy so powerful, they can release more energy in 1 millisecond than our sun does in 3 days. And many of them are repeating. What if the WOW signal was not a failed hello? What if it was the very first fast radio burst we ever detected? We just did not know what it was. We called it WOW because it was slow. It lasted 72 seconds. We call these fast because they last milliseconds. But what if they are related? What if they are two different kinds of message from the same source? This is where the entire paradigm shifts. This is where we must stop thinking like humans. We have been obsessed with our reaction. Wow, amazing. A 1 in a trillion shot. We have made the story about us, and in doing so, we have missed the entire point. We must flip the script. What if the signal has nothing to do with us? It was not for us. We just happened to be in the way. We were the ant on the sidewalk that a shadow passed over. This is the move from WOW to we are here. WOW is passive. It is surprise. It is a fluke. We are here is active. It is intention. It is a statement. It means someone or something in that direction is powerful enough to create a beacon, a lighthouse, a signal so strong that it screamed across 25,000 light-years of empty space, and our tiny football field-sized telescope in Ohio caught it by accident. This changes the Fermi paradox. Where is everybody? Perhaps the answer is right there in Sagittarius. Perhaps the great silence is not empty. It just has one very loud, very specific exception. An exception that has been trying to get our attention, not with a hello, but with a roar, a simple statement of existence. We are here, we are real, and we are powerful. What we have covered is the rebirth of the greatest mystery in modern science, the death of the comet theory, the discovery of a hotspot of activity in the WOW signal's location, and the terrifying philosophical shift that this implies. This story is not over. In a future video, we are going to dive deep into those new signals. The fast radio bursts. What are they? Are they natural magnetars, or are they the engine noise of a Type 3 civilization? The results are shocking. Make sure you turn on notifications. Click that bell icon right now. You do not want to miss where this investigation goes next, because the WOW signal has left us with a choice. For 47 years we have just been listening. We have been the passive observer. But if this is a hotspot, if this is a watering hole, if this is a we are here, then do we finally answer back? This is the great debate at SETI right now. METI, messaging extraterrestrial intelligence. Do we build our own beacon? Do we aim our most powerful transmitters at Sagittarius and shout back into the void? And what would we say? Hello, we are here too. Or is that a terrible idea? Is that like a child in a dark forest shouting, I am here, to a wolf it cannot see? Some scientists, like the late Stephen Hawking, warned us to stay quiet, that if a civilization is powerful enough to send the WOW signal, they are far more advanced than we are, and the history of encounters between advanced civilizations and lesser civilizations has never ended well for the lesser. The wow signal is no longer just a scientific curiosity. It has become a mirror, a test of our maturity as a species. Do we have the wisdom to know when to speak and when to just listen? It was never our signal. It was never our wow. It was a 72-second glimpse into a universe that is older, smarter, and stranger than we can possibly imagine. A universe where someone has built a fire so bright we can see its glow from across the entire galaxy. A universe that is not silent. A universe that is simply waiting for us to learn how to listen properly. The wow signal is not the answer. It is the question. And the question is, what do we do next? So, what is your answer? If you were in charge of all the world's radio telescopes tomorrow, what would you do? Would you broadcast a message of peace right at that coordinate, or would you command complete radio silence and just listen harder? Drop your answer in the comments. I am genuinely curious what humanity thinks we should do. And if you enjoyed this journey into the heart of a cosmic message, you will absolutely love our video on the Black Knight satellite. It explores the dark legend of a different kind of signal, one that is not in deep space, but is allegedly already here in our own orbit. The link is in the description. Until next time, keep looking up.